The following is an excerpt from the creepypasta Jeff the Killer, written by the DeviantArt user JOUR, read by Joshua Campbell. So this is the first story I'm going to read here that's going to be just very, very bad. This story has aged horribly, and it's kind of a nice way to end the sort of creepypasta segments I'm going for, because whether I like it or not, most online short horror stories posted to the internet in the late 2000s, early 2010s era were really not that good. There were a few really good ones like Candle Cove, or as we've mentioned here, Ted the Caver and the Russian Sleep Experiment. These are very interesting. Most of the time, it was clearly written by adolescents who just found out what gore meant and were just writing scary stories. And to an expectant result, they just were really not good stories. And this, to me, is the pinnacle of that kind of story. One that was probably scary at the time when we were kids reading these stories, but nowadays it's just very, very just cringy and outright bad. The story follows a young teenage boy who, slowly but surely over a sequence of very contrived events, turns from a very emo-like character who is very overconfident in his own complexities, suddenly becomes a wide-mouthed, sunken-eyed serial killer who murders his entire family. For the sake of history, and for the sake of not reading too many good stories, here is a short excerpt of Jeff the Killer. Excerpt from a local newspaper. Ominous unknown killer is still at large. After weeks of unexplained murders, the ominous unknown killer is still on the rise. After little evidence has been found, a young boy states that he survived one of the killer's attacks and bravely tells his story.
I had a bad dream, and I woke up in the middle of the night,
says the boy.
I saw that for some reason the window was open, even though I remember it being closed before I went to bed. I got up and shut it once more. Afterwards, I simply crawled under my covers and tried to get back to sleep. That's when I had a strange feeling, like someone was watching me. I looked up and nearly jumped out of my bed. There, in the little ray of light, illuminating from between my curtains, were a pair of two eyes. These weren't regular eyes, dark, ominous eyes. They were bordered in black and just plain out terrified me. I'm sorry. That's when I saw his mouth. A long, horrendous smile that made every hair on my body stand up. The figure stood there, watching me. Finally, after what seemed like forever, he said it. A simple phrase, but said in a way only a madman could speak. He said, "Go to sleep." I let out a scream. That's what sent him at me. He pulled up a knife, aiming at my heart. He jumped on top of my bed. I fought him back. I kicked. I punched. I rolled around, trying to knock him off me. That's when my dad busted in. The man threw the knife. It went into my dad's shoulder. The man probably would have finished him off if one of the neighbors hadn't alerted the police.
Okay, I think that's enough. I should note that my narration doesn't do credit to the very odd word choices and plentiful amount of punctuation errors that are littered throughout this. I don't bring this up to shame the original creator and, the person they were at the time, but I feel like these kind of stories are very important to recognize for their lack of quality so we can learn from them and actually make some really good stuff in the future when we really refine our craft. Still, if you want to check it out for yourself and see the growing pains of a new author, head on over to creepypasta.com.